and he goes away. 20 years later, this Mazandarani has a dream that he sees his friend with a white turban, with a beautiful cloak and a staff in his hand, and he's asking his friend that, I saw you being punished 40 years back, and now you're in such a situation, what happened? And the friend replies and he says, it is because of your prayers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave me. He says, before you even left the area of Jannatul Baqi, I was forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Fatima Zahra herself came to give me the cloak that I'm wearing right now. Muhammad Rasulullah came to give me the turban that I'm wearing right now. It was because of the prayers of his friend, the loyalty of his friend, that he was saved from punishment. Recite as-salawat, please. So I've given you the good qualities to look for in a friend. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. I know and I understand we live in a society whereby we go to high school, university, and you just can't go tomorrow and tell this person, listen, I don't want to be your friend. That's not the whole point of it. We're talking about a higher level of friendship and spirituality here. Now let's look at the qualities not to look for in a friend. When you see these qualities, abstain from them. Go as far from that person as possible. The first quality not to look for is a person who is al-ahmaq, a fool. You want to know why you should not be friends? You know, sometimes a fool, you can have fun with him. He's just a fool, you know, he makes you laugh and all this. But Imam Ali says, the reason why you should not be friends with a fool is because it confirms your own foolishness. To be friends with a fool, it confirms your own foolishness. Birds of a feather flock together, ya akhi, don't you think? Stay away from a fool. Imam Ali further goes and he says, O son, he's telling his son Imam al-Hasan in one of his letters, O son, do not befriend a fool, for certainly while he wants to do good to you, he will harm you instead. Because he doesn't have a sense of reasoning. There is no reasoning in that person. For him, life or her, life is just pleasure and fun. There's no other aim in life but to have fun. The foolish does not advise you of good and is not expected to save you from any problem, even if he does his best. Yani, even if a foolish person has an intention to help you, his intention will actually be the opposite. And when something happens, he'll say, oh, I didn't know, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. In your head you'll say, you're a fool anyways. What do we expect out of you? That's number one. Number two, al-bakhil, a miser. When you see a person who is not willing to spend, a person who is a miser, do not be friends with him. The Prophet said that a generous disbeliever is closer to heaven than a miserly believer. A generous disbeliever is closer to heaven than a miserly believer. Imagine the magnitude of keeping a friend as a miser. He's the one who's going to put you away from heaven as much as possible, even though he's a believer, even though he submits to Allah. Do not befriend a miser, for most certainly he will turn away from you when you most require him. Sometimes you might think, okay, you know what, for the past 10 years I've been friends with a miser, nothing has been happening. But there will come a time whereby eventually he turns away from you, he turns his back towards you, without you even realizing. When you realize it and you wake up, it is too late. He is not even there to help you now anymore. Number three, al-kadhib, a liar. A liar is like a mirage. Not only that, a liar is one who makes things that are far seem close to you, and things that are close seem far to you. Sometimes a liar reaches such a state whereby lying is just a habit, and he doesn't even know he or she is lying sometimes. You can be fooled by the friendship that you have with him or her because of the lies also. It's just a facade. A person who, and you know that person is lying. In this case, if a person is a Muslim, and he or she is lying, and you want to do amr bil ma'roof and nahy anil munkar, this is where it applies now, where you start to stay away from the person. Salamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. Then you keep your distance. That person should ask you, why are you staying away from me? Because until you give up the habit of lying, then only we can become good friends. These are three that I've given you. Now the most comprehensive of all. A person who is al-fajir, a wicked person, a sinner. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Innal abrara lafi na'imin wa innal fujjara lafi jahim. As for the righteous, they will be in bliss, and the wicked, they are the ones who will be in fire. Prophet Isa was passing by a town with his companions. And as he was passing by, at that time Allah would show the punishment straight away. So they pass by this town and they see that everybody in this town is dead. Yani there are bodies everywhere. So the companions of Prophet Isa knew that he could speak to the dead. So they told him, "O Prophet, speak to them, ask them, what happened? Why are they all dead? What happened to them?" So the Prophet replied and he says, "Inshallah, I'll speak to them at night." Night comes, the Prophet goes, and he says, "O you who are dead, tell me what happened to you." No answer. Second time, "O you who are dead, tell me what happened to you." No answer still. And finally, when he says it the third time, there's one man who replies and he says, "We are the people who used to worship false gods. In addition, we had the love of this world, we had little fear of God, and we had high aspirations." So Prophet Isa is asking and he says, worship of false gods? How are you worshiping false gods? Here is where the Quranic ayat comes in. أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ أَفَأَنْتَ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِ وَكِيلًا. Have you seen him who takes his low desires for his God? Will you then be a protector over him? A person who takes his low desires for his God. What is this desire? I have a desire to do something that is haram today. For example, desire to listen to music. Desire, and music is of course varied. I have a desire to touch this non-mahram person. I have a desire to lie. I have a desire to steal. When a person worships his desire or goes after it, it is as if he has considered it worship. This is what Allah is asking in the Holy Quran. Have you seen a person who takes his low desires for his God? Yani that is his qibla? That becomes on the category of what? When you take somebody else as a God, what does it become category of? Shirk. The first punishment, the first thing that will not be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shirk. So Nabi Isa continues and he says, "How did you love this world?" And the dead person replies and he says, "We love this world as much as a mother loves its child." And then he continues and he says, "How are you worshipping the false god?" And he said that we were obeying the sinners. If we have friends who tell us, "Let us go to this nightclub, let us go to this place where there are women who are dancing," and you obey that, you are taking that person as your God. You are committing the biggest form of shirk. Because that person is not only obeying his desires, but worse is you are obeying him or her to go to that place. لا تقربوا زنا. Do not approach a place where adultery can begin. Do not approach a place where adultery can begin. Do not. So Prophet Isa says, "How was your ultimate end? What happened?" And this man replies, he says, "We spent the entire night merrymaking. Late into the night, we were partying." Ring a bell? Late at night we were partying. We were having fun. We were enjoying our life. when all of a sudden the punishment of Allah came upon us and we were not even aware that the punishment came.